The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hey there, it's time for the Bronx Buzz. This is BronxNet's program. You might know it already, where we talk to writers and editors and journalists and videographers and photographers. And the way we defined it over time, over the last 4 years, was anybody who puts stuff out in the borough of the Bronx. And this evening, guess what we're going to do? We're going to do music. Both segments are going to be about music. And the reason that we're starting with Penny Swift of Education Through Music is she had an impassioned op-ed piece in Gotham Gazette, and we want to review that. That was her putting it out. And so let's say good evening to Penny Swift. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Let's talk about education through music. People probably know, if they've been watching our programs on BronxNet for a long time, I am very, very passionate about making sure all Bronx children have the opportunity to play music and learn music in schools. Tell me about what education music is about and where we are at.
Sure. Well, I'm glad to hear you're excited about music as well. We're actually celebrating our 30th anniversary this year, which is quite an exciting milestone. Over the last 30 years, we have served over 300,000 students.
Wow.
We've provided over 7.5 million hours of educational music. And we have produced over 1,000 school concerts during that time.
Wow.
It's
Congratulations.
amazing. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you to my predecessor as well.
And that's, can we name her?
Catherine Damkoller.
And I do want to say, as I mentioned to you before the show, she had been on BronxNet, on Bronx Talk, my other program, a number of times, bringing musical groups and all those kinds of things. And so I know who you guys are, and we love what your mission is.
She's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. I'm excited to be able to share with you that our founders of the organization had recognized 30 years ago that there were inequities in public school education. And in order to reduce and diminish those inequities, music education was going to be that catalyst in an effort to pursue equity and provide access to all of New York City's students in a manner in which the city and the students had never seen before.
And so you've been out there teaching and bringing educators, instruments, helping putting bands together, and all those kinds of things, right?
Exactly. This year we partner with 53 New York City public schools. We don't just provide comprehensive and sequential music education to the students, but we really pride ourselves on being a comprehensive partner to the school principals. So when I say comprehensive sequential education, that really means we're not there just to support students in an after-school program, in a push-in program, in a pull-out program, but we partner and make sure that we see every student in every grade in that school.
Unbelievable.
It's not a gifted and talented program. It is true equity and access. In addition to that, we support our principals and our staff. We hire the teachers. We provide over 100 hours of opportunity for teachers to receive professional development. Music teachers really need a cohort and a learning environment, and we provide that to them as well.
If I could just interrupt, that's
Absolutely.
one of the big issues here, because so many principals understandably say, we're inundated with things we got to do. And that's a very long list. And music, okay, I may think it's a priority. You may think it's a priority. They have other things on their mind. And if you can get that stuff done, we can facilitate the whole program, right? I mean, that's what
Very
we're about.
true. Not only that, but we certainly recognize that some principals may be a product of public school education as well, and may not have a music background themselves. So while they're certainly the experts possibly in classroom management or pedagogical skill set, maybe they don't know the difference between a
Right.
quarter note and a whole note. So we provide instructional supervisors for classroom observations to support the teachers to
Is
make
that a
sure.
trombone or a French horn? Have you heard that?
Exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
uh, so let's talk about the pandemic. I have thought, and when we closed our schools and then we opened them virtually, I said, "Oh my goodness, the thing that I value most is having Bronx children get a chance to play and learn music and be inspired by it and affected by it." And now they're not going to get a chance. But you found a way, right? I mean, this is really a wonderful story.
We did. We were very effective. It's one of those, life gave you lemons and we made lemonade out of it. And, one of the things I would say is that we pivoted early. We recognize that I always say in the midst of a crisis, you make sure you plan and you provide structure. And that's what we did. We went back to the very tenets of the success of our organization and said, we support our teachers because we know teachers who are educated and have the resources needed will be productive in the classroom.
And
They
what did you have them do? This to me is the most exciting and interesting part of it. You changed the way you delivered the education.
We did. We went to remote distance learning like everybody else. So we changed our professional development. So it was social emotional learning. Maybe it was less professional development on ukuleles and more professional development on how do we make guitars out of tissue boxes.
Wow.
Less development on pianos or something else similar to that, and more development on how do we make garbage bags, bagpipes. Gamification. We provided gamification training for our teachers
Wow.
to engage students because everything was online. We brought in facilitators who were really the experts in remote distance learning long before we were. So we really pivoted on a dime. Additionally, we recognize that so many students don't have access to technology, which is a shame.
It's one of
Um,
the big issues that we've all, that I say we've all, but all the schools and all the children and families have had to deal with.
Absolutely. So we put our resources on our website so parents could go to our website and see our lessons. And ironically, we probably touched more children. We partnered with BronxNet. We partnered with Let's Learn New York City, and we put our lessons out there. We had our teachers on Facebook.
Wow.
We used technology and social media and actually increased the amount of students we were reaching than we had pre-pandemic.
It's one of the secrets, and I know this from what we do also, is that it's made things a little more convenient. In other words, rather than have you, which would be okay, come up to our studio, we're able to do this, and you could do it whether you're home or in your office, whatever. Where are we going now after the pandemic? What do you need? What do schools, what does the Department of Education need to do? Notice I'm doing this like a conductor of
Sure.
an orchestra. What do they need to do in order to move us to the next level as we begin to emerge from the pandemic and then learn from our experience and do better?
So we need collaboration across all areas of New York City, all administration, all public administration, and education officials, most importantly. It has to stop that your zip code will determine the quality of education that you need,
Right.
most importantly. That's from the educational field. We need people in powers of authority to say just what the New York State Department of Education has said, and New York, and I'm sorry, U.S. Department of Education, New York State Department of Education has said music should be a core curriculum. We need to ensure that continues to happen if if we are going to have lifelong learners and well-rounded educators.
I want to just interject when you talk about collaboration. Now, I can tell you because I have moderated numerous political debates, and we're going to be doing many more for city council and all that, and borough president as we get closer to the primary day. Every single debate, I have made sure to ask the question, what can we do with our curriculums? Will you, make the commitment? And every one of them said, oh, absolutely. I'm waiting to see because I'm ready to, I'm agreeing with you that schools can't do it on their own. We need leadership from the top. We need leadership out of City Hall, and we certainly need leadership out of the state.
Absolutely.
That's my own advocacy. I can't stop. I'm sorry.
I agree. I mean, our funders and our donors have opened up their hearts and they've opened up their pocketbooks. Now we need commitment from the leaders to make sure this continues.
Is there a funding, stupid question? Of course, there's a funding issue. And the question, how significant is it? We know that you get grants and you get all kinds of donations. How do we all keep education through music happy and healthy, and of course, reaching not only the students you've already reached, but even more Bronx students?
Well, I mean, the first thing I would say is visit us online, visit our website, and see what we have to offer. Attend our events, join our newsletter so you can be a part of our conversations and really understand the value in what we're providing to New York City public students. But most importantly, have a true understanding of how music is not a nice have, but it's a must have. And I think once you have that buy in, the rest becomes easy. There are transferable skill sets from music to other classroom, to the other classrooms like music and language arts and science. Recognize the social and emotional content that music education provides. In our own impact reports, we have recognized that 59% of students in ensemble programs didn't skip school because of music. 79% of families in New York City can provide a private music lesson or program for their students. Interpret those numbers and recognize that this is important to the students of New York City. We may not every child may be a musician, but they could be digital citizens moving forward.
And I've got to interject on that. It can infuse something in their lives that will make them more creative, that will make them more passionate, just the things we need. And the example that I use all the time is, you know who has one of the best orchestras in the Bronx? The Albert Einstein College of Medicine and the doctors. So I always say, if you want to be a doctor, learn to play music, because that's what it does. It fuels that passion for something else that's larger. Last question before we have to go. What about for you? Now, you confided to me before the program that you weren't really a musician beforehand. What has this taught you, this experience? You've been with ETM for 4 years. What has it taught you about music, about the kids, about the education process?
Well, it's really opened my eyes once again, very unfortunately, to the inequities in public schools, right? A zip code in 10541 in Putnam County has this access. 10451 has that access. And it has reignited my passion to make sure that every child has every opportunity, and a lack of opportunity will not prevent a child from being successful. For me personally, because I don't have a music background, it's given me that passion to advocate even more so people don't lack some of the things that I've lacked over my life, not having that kind of content in my education.
Penny Swift, Executive Director of Education through Music. How do people find you? They can find you on the web. The website is
etmonline.org.
etmonline.org. I think it's one of the most important organizations in our Bronx. We invented all the music that's out there. Let's let our kids inherit that heritage and move it to the next level. Penny Swift, thank you so much. Everybody, check out Education Through Music. We need them. We love them. We got to have more and more and more. We appreciate your time this evening.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. I told you it was going to be a music show, and we talk about people who put stuff out. We got a group. There are two guys out of Parkchester who have put a little group together. They put out their first single. We're going to listen to a piece of the single, and we'll do that right after this. Don't go away.